Hello, everybody. Welcome to Game Week. Just wanted to do a quick primer on the Western Michigan Broncos. A couple things to look for. Going to talk mostly about the offense. We will talk about the defense, just kind of in brief. Offensively, Western Michigan is led by second-year coordinator Walt Bell. Pretty well traveled. Has been at Indiana, Florida State, UMass, Maryland. A bit of a victim of circumstance, I think, in that those are not necessarily programs that you'd think are at the top of the sport. Runs inside, outside zone, generally runs the quarterback. Fairly creative and multiple in some of the formations that he uses. Relatively creative. I think pretty standard. Young and aggressive offensive coordinator. Defensively, I believe Chris O'Leary is in his first year with Western Michigan. He has not, to my knowledge, been a coordinator before. It's interesting. He comes from the Chargers. I think he may be a bit of an offshoot of kind of that Martindale Minter tree, where it's kind of an amoeba defense, either 3 or 5 down linemen, or a 5-man front. Rotating around a lot, people changing coverages after the snap, doing a lot of things with the safety position. O'Leary's a safeties coach. What you're seeing is Western Michigan's game against Wisconsin last year, a game that they were very much into the fourth quarter. Let's hope that's not a situation that we see on Friday night. Not going to learn a ton watching the defense, which is primarily a lot of one high stuff under their former defensive coordinator. Not a ton to pick up from the personnel department too. Western Michigan rotated a lot of people, so not a ton to gain from the defense. We'll kind of speed through that and look at the offense and talk about that. So just briefly in talking about the defense, again, not entirely sure what to expect from Western, but if it is that kind of amoeba look, that's something that you're going to see against Michigan. You're going to see against USC. Danton Lynn also runs that Raven-style defense, where you normally have 3 down linemen, kind of 2 edge rushers, or maybe 4 down linemen, and then you put a nickel on the field, or you're taking somebody off and rotating people in the back end. A lot of changing responsibilities post-snap, so be interested to see what Childs is able to look like in the passing game against the defense that looks like that. Offensively, like I said, I think they're going to try to run the ball, mix in some quarterback run game, play action. Going to want to see Michigan State staying at home, hopefully generating some organic pass rush and teeing off on what I think should be a relatively overmatched but a game Western Michigan team. I don't think the same team that is giving Wisconsin fits for a lot of this game. So, something you see in this is just the fact that Western, I think, really struggled to get to the quarterback in this game. They also struggled to stand up to Wisconsin's physicality, and Wisconsin is not the Wisconsin teams of old. You see some RPO hitches that they killed Western with. But a pretty game effort by Western, though they're just kind of physically overmatched. So it takes us a while to see Western do a whole lot on offense. I believe that was a targeting call. Yes, it was. Yeah, you see Wisconsin taking the lead there. Just power. Really good cut there. Good balance by that running back. Not really anything that we'll be seeing on Friday, but, appreciate that when you see it. So here we see Western Michigan on offense. Tight set, tight end. Looks like a 2 tight end set. Tight splits. This is just, I think, a straight play action to the running back. Frankly, I do not pretend to be overly well-versed on Western Michigan's personnel. I will devote more attention to opposing teams' personnel when we hit Boston College and some games that I expect to be a little bit more competitive. I hope that does not bite me here. I did want to flag this formation because this is something that you will see a couple different teams on the schedule put out, where you see how in tight everybody is, like a detached tight end. You have 3 people in close to the line of scrimmage on the play side, out of the gun. And this is really just a mesh look where you've got crossing routes working in the middle of the field, and really because of the pressure that they bring, the linebacker, who I think is supposed to be getting over to the flat, is kind of picked off over there by the mesh route, so nobody picks up the running back rail. That's a big game for them. When you look at sets like this, tight sets that are pretty heavy with multiple tight ends, that is how you attack that amoeba-style defense that we're talking about, where like a USC or a Michigan, where they're mixing things up in the back end a lot, and they're devoting a lot of resources to coverage, but they have a lot of beef on that defensive line. The way you beat that is by putting multiple tight ends on the field, and forcing their heavier edge guys. So a lot of times you'll have like 3 down linemen, and then or 2 true down linemen, defensive tackles, and then 2 edge types that are kind of tweeners, like for Michigan, if you think of like a David Ojabo or somebody like that. If you go back to 2021, if you can force those guys to cover with multiple tight ends, that's really how you defeat a team like that. So look for that when Michigan State plays Michigan and USC. This is not an original observation on my part. Blogger named Seth Fisher pointed that out in an article that I read, but it's worth pointing out here. I think there you see just this. That's a true mesh read. That's a give all the way. Really good leverage from the defensive line. This is a T formation. Penn State runs they achieved a fair amount of notoriety for running this with Nick Singleton and Katron Allen. And again, just I think if we see this sort of penetration and leverage from Michigan State, given some of the struggles that State had in getting to the quarterback and getting into the backfield last year, that's going to feel, I think, pretty good for us. Again, here you see them using that T formation again. It's just a boot. Really good job by number 24. Bring him down short. They review that, and he was short. And this is just, it's hard to stop somebody 4 times inside the 5-yard line. That's just split zone. So you see inside zone, and then the tight end flying across, kicking out, and then just a plunge that is successful. So good view of the kick out block there by number 5. And again, this defense that you're seeing, I don't think is overly representative of what Western Michigan will put on tape, but it may be. I could be completely wrong. I have not devoted an inordinate amount of time to looking at Western and what they have to offer. Again, just as this game wore on, I think you really did see the physical aspects of Wisconsin just kind of wear down on Western, and hope to see the same thing against Western Michigan. Something that I noticed here was this is, like I said, I don't know if we're going to see this on Friday or not, but look at who makes the tackle there. Look at number 58 for Western. He's dropping. You have 2 people dropping into the hook curl. I'm just assuming a person shaped like that with a number 58 is not a true linebacker and is not used to coverage. That's to the point that I made earlier. If you can force another team's big guys to cover, that's going to be good for you. And I really would look to see against teams that run the kind of amoeba, or teams that try to put a lot of meat at the line of scrimmage to plug the gaps in the run game and devote resources to that. If you can get those guys to have to cover with somebody like a Jack Velling or somebody like that, it's going to be good for you. So this is a similar formation to something that Michigan State's run, kind of that 3-by-1 tight set that I talked about a lot last year. This is from the pistol. And it's interesting, and just kind of the misdirection in that I think they call that belly. I can't where you double a three technique, leave an edge unblocked, and then you really have the action here with the quarterback, who I do know that quarterback is no longer there. Similar to the boot that he pulled down at the goal line that wound up being short, where it looks like for 11 he's faking a handoff and peeling off. He sells that relatively well. That is a handoff, and Wisconsin just gets a little bit too far upfield. It looks like there is a pressure there. A very good job by that insert blocker. I think it's that tight end who you can see. So I don't know what number he is, but he's this tight end. The inside back part of that 3x1, where they call it mountain goating. So he's not blocking the dive key. He works his way, okay, my combo blocking, no. Then he works his way to a linebacker and takes a pop, but that frees up his running back for a chunk. So, it's a very well-designed run play. And that unblocked end just didn't squeeze quite enough, but impressive. This is kind of it's not a mesh, it's like a clear-out concept. You have a 3x1 with a tight end. Then you have, three people going vertical. One side of the field, tight end working underneath the sticks on 3rd and 8 into that gap. Just a little sit route in the gap in the zone, kind of behind the hook curl. Fine play by the quarterback to find that. Good throw again. That player is not going to be there. And one of many kind of missed opportunities for Western in this game. They miss a field goal. That number 58, who is stuck in coverage, does a good job pursuing the quarterback there and winds up picking up a fumble. And really impressive. You see that here. Just, again, I have no idea if 58's going to be playing or not. But really good play just to grab that ball and secure it. That was impressive. And then Western runs a really gutty fake field goal, and just want to salute the kicker on stepping through a tackle. That's impressive. You got to tip the cap there. Again, I would not necessarily expect to see that. And again, this is the kind of window dressing that you do see in the quarterback run game from a Walt Bell type offense, where just a pistol zone kind of looks like a pseudo split zone look, and that it's more of an insert with that 86 lined up tight end spot. Just kind of makes sure that the side, nobody's coming through like the backside A gap. But it's a straight handoff from the pistol, but you see 11 when he hands off, he kind of fakes that bootleg action again. But it's just a race to the goal line, and your running back's going to win that unless the defense has really good leverage. Goal line stuff, it's hard if you're able to get effectively to the outside. And you can see on the play side here where everybody's reaching, and they really do effectively reach block. And you can see this number 8, he takes about one step, where you'll see right here, watch number 8, like a step and a half, he shuffles inside, and by then he's just not able to get outside of that running back and get him on the ground or really compete for a tackle. So when we talk about this window dressing or play action and things like this, that's the difference. We're just that shuffle right there to take him from kind of the O to the I on the lettering in the end zone, it looks like. That right there was the difference between making a stop and then now trailing in the fourth quarter. This is where I believe the game really turned. You have Western up, getting a punt, and they muff the punt. Wisconsin recovers it. They score shortly thereafter. You want to talk about a difference in physicality. Look at that. First of all, the run action, it's zone. You get everybody going one way, good cutback, and then just, that's just a Division I football player against people who are, I guess I should say a Power 5, Power 2 Division I football player against the kind of more G5, and you can just tell the difference in physicality there. And again, hope to see that from State. because that's just, the difference. Fine throw, fine catch. Things like this, this is a similar play action to what was clipped earlier in the first half. Again, this quarterback not going to be there. There's a motion into a 3-by-1, kind of a guard who comes into pass protection, I think. Or no, I'm sorry, that's the tight end who comes across on kind of a, looking like a split zone or a waggle. Again, I thought that this quarterback was pretty solid. We are not going to see him on Friday. Would love to see on a 4th and 1 this from Michigan State. If you just see you submarine the offensive line and then you have people go over the top, exactly how Michigan State stopped Stanford in the Rose Bowl back in 2013. And after Wisconsin made that stop, the game is functionally over. Wisconsin puts another touchdown on them. That's pretty much it. At that point, you're trying to force something, 4th and 14. You're throwing off platform. The heck of a play, but I don't think that ball was really ever a threat to get caught. And that's pretty much it. So, sorry for the kind of scattershot and not overly thorough look into Western. These will be better, but just wanted to give you a couple things to look for, how Michigan State handles an amoeba defense, if they see one, which I don't know if they will. And then Michigan State's defense looking to stay at home when they see some of that window dressing and quarterback run element from a Walt Bell offense. So looking forward to obviously having football back, being able to break down some real games, and can't wait for the season and for a lot of these to come. So thank you, and we'll talk soon.